Welcome to this A1 English listening practice video. Why is this A1? Well, it's A1 because I am going to talk slowly and use simple language terms. You would normally hear in other video, but just now that doesn't work in phrase. That idea will be new for you, are hard to understand for you. In my option, the goal of an A1 listening practice video is to help you get to an A2 level. It not mean to keep you at A1. So in this A1 listening practice video, I probably use words and phrases that are a little bit of a higher level because this is going to help you get accustomed to more difficult English. Because remember the goal with a practice video for A1 English learner. No. Is to help them reach the next level A2. So yet, I'm going to use language and phrase that aren't technically A1, but that doesn't matter. This is good exposure for you to become exposed to harder language so you can reach the next level in your listening comprehension. And of course, I can also talk about more interesting thing is I can use language that a little bit challenging for an A1 learner, so it keeps to the video interesting as well. So today's topic is a little bit different from normal. Recently, I done a lot of videos about language learning. Today's video is still somewhat related to language learning, but not quite. Not exactly. I'm going to talk about my international family. This is an interesting topic for me, and I'm sure many of you will want to know a little bit about my family and the international aspect of my family. So that's what I'm going to talk about today in a slow and clear way so you can practice your listening. Before we continue, I want to mention that if you want my listening training to help you understand native speakers better when they speak fast, and if you want my pronunciation training so you can speak and pronounce things more like a native speaker, then make sure to check out my membership because it offers a lot of training and I help you become more comfortable with understanding and pronouncing the sound of learning English. So that things is down below in the description. So let me talk about my international family now. My wife is from Mexico, from Guadalajara, Mexico, and I met her many years ago when I traveled to Mexico to study Spanish. I went to a language school to study Spanish, but I also took that trip to have fun and to explore another country. So I stayed there for 5 weeks and I met my wife at the language school where I was studying. She was studying English because, if I remember correctly, she was going to take TRFL testing and I was studying Spanish. And at that school they had this conversation class where the locals who were learning English could talk to the foreigners who were learning Spanish. So I was able to meet my wife at this school. And 3 years later, we got married. So before we got married, we lived in different countries. I lived it in the US and she lived it in Mexico for 3 years. We were in a long distance relationship as we call it. So that wasn't easy, but we did it. And I visited her many times in Mexico. While we were dating, meaning while we were in a relationship before we were married. And she visited me in the US a week. And when we got married, we had 2 weddings. Not to marry it. I can only get married once, but we had 2 wedding celebrations. One in Mexico and one did in the US. And then after we got married, I moved to Mexico and I had to adapt to a completely different culture and lifestyle. I had to adapt to the custom in Mexico and the culture, the difference in the culture there. It wasn't simple, it was a little complicated. But the 3 years prior to that meaning. Before that, I became more accustomed to a Mexican culture because I take it to my wife every day on the phone and learn it more country to country. So I was able to adapt, but it was a little hard of course. And my wife and I both had to go through immigration process. I became a resident in Mexico and my wife became a resident in the US, and this not fun to deal with immigration process. It's not easy to go through those process, but my wife did that for me.